Good evening. I'd like to take a little bit of time and talk to you about one of the most important subjects in the world. There are many, many great subjects, but I think this one, certainly in my life, has rang true, and I believe it'll ring true for so many of you if you give it an opportunity, and that is the word character. Character comes from the word etched in stone. And oftentimes people, when they think about character, they think of it as um, maybe an action. But I would like to talk about character by what consumes you, right? Some people think of a character as, oh, he's a real character, right? He's a little crazy. But I like the concept that character really is what you are and what you do and what you think about when no one is calling the shots, when no one is bossing you around, when no one is making you do or think. It's what consumes you. And I think a lot of people misunderstand this, and it ends up being one of the things that causes great debacle in the world. Abraham Lincoln said that most men, most women can handle adversity if they're strong enough. But you want to test a man's character, then you give them power. And that's a very profound statement because power corrupts if not understood. And character is what consumes you. Character is what directs what you do with that power and with that authority. So it becomes a very powerful thing in our life, right? God's word says that the world cannot stand when a pauper becomes a prince. And I will take lots of time in future vlogs to talk about paupers and princes, but let's just say when someone that doesn't know who they are becomes a very powerful person, when a very low self-image person becomes very, very powerful, they will do things to, frankly, disrupt their greatness. They'll do things that will undermine themselves because they don't see themselves as a king. They don't see themselves as a prince. They still see themselves as an orphan. They still see themselves as someone that's fighting and scrambling. So they oftentimes are very tight with their money. They got to hold on to everything they got. They fight for attention. They fight for the glory. They have issues where they need everybody to follow them or hail to them or be around them, and they find confidence in that. And that's the orphan spirit. That's a pauper. And if a pauper, P-A-U-P-E-R, becomes a prince, all of a sudden they're incredibly powerful, and they have the same broken mind. It ends up consuming them. Because the fact of the matter is that you will become like what consumes you, right? You've all seen the things that hang on the wall. Guard your input because your input creates your thoughts. Guard your thoughts because your thoughts create words. Guard your words because your words will create an action. Your actions will create a habit. And your habits will create a character. And your character will determine your destiny. And your destiny will write your legacy. So it's going to be your master, and you're going to be the slave to it. And the question is what are you going to do to define that? And your character will be a sum total of what you put into your brain. And my life, as I became a very powerful person, my character hadn't been defined. And so I scrambled and fought, trying to hang on. But ultimately, my life became a train wreck simply because the character had not been formed in enough time to withstand the corruptible power. And so what has to happen in anybody's life is you got to start over. You got to go back to the foundation. You got to go back to the very footings. And that's where restoration becomes very important. John Wooden, probably the greatest coach in any type of coaching world history, 10 national championships, right? He said that you should be more concerned with your character than your reputation. See, your reputation is what people think, but character is what you are. And what you are is ultimately going to manifest. Now, you can deal with it, hide it, and finagle it, but ultimately it's going to come out. And if you don't figure out how to manage this and develop this, you ultimately will collapse. The crazy thing about that statement is once you move through defeat, once you go through challenges, and you're stripped down, and you're at that point of rebuilding your character, it seems as though the most important thing to most of us becomes our reputation, right? As I was going through restoration, I was more concerned with people's opinions than I was God's opinion, and that had to be totally fixed, right? Because the fact of the matter is may spend the rest of your life trying to fix your reputation, and it may never be done. But it doesn't matter because God's opinion is the only opinion that really matters depending on where your faith is. But my faith is the only opinion that matters. And the only opinion that's rock solid of me is my Father. So being able to focus my energy in recognizing that that was the relationship that mattered the most. And as I could begin to develop that character side of things, reputation takes care of itself over time, right? It just simply does. That man's opinion does not trump God's opinion. And as you go through this restoration process, you'll recognize that it's going to take some time. But do not be worried with the words of small minds, because small minds are more interested in people, and great minds are more interested in movements and change and transformation and doing great things in our world. So I want to challenge you to really take the time to be aware that your character is what you need to focus in on. It is what you are. It is your core, and it will ultimately determine your destiny. You're not going to avoid this. I'm just telling you from my own personal experience of being there. So now here we are in a great season of restoration. God's promise is favor and abundance, multiplication. Man may never want to see your multiplication, your favor, because for some reason man enjoys seeing a person that's gone down be punished over and over again. How many people still want to see Tiger Woods punished for years, or Kobe Bryant punished for years, and yet those things are so far behind? I don't know their character. I can't speak to it. I don't know the situation. I know in my life my failure was epic. But the restoration and the promise of favor based upon the renewal, the restoring of the foundation, the RTF of our life, the restoration of the foundation, as we build on that foundation of strong character, then this becomes the issue of growth. So I beg of you, take the time and focus in on filling your mind with the truth of who you are and how great you are and the promise of your life. I hope that helps out. Character will determine your destiny. Love you.